I'm Sammy, Hagar, just George Thorogood and the Destroyers, and we're going to destroy you.
You lead it up. Kick off the ball. We'll kick it off.
But not the groove.
I'll kick it off for you.
There you go.
You come in when you want to,
Boom.
all right? I come in last night about 10:30. That baby of mine wouldn't let me in. Moving on over. Rock it on over.
Rock it on over.
Move over, little dog, 'cause a mean old dog moving in.
Well, she changed the lock on my back door. Now my key don't fit no more. You gotta move it on over.
Move it on over.
Rock it on over.
Rock it on over.
Move over, dog. There's a mean old dog's moving in.
Back to me, begging on her knees. Meanwhile, I'll be scratching fleas. Moving on over.
Moving on over.
Rock it on over.
Rock it on over.
Move over, little dog, 'cause a mean old dog moving in.
Change the lock on my back door. Now my key don't fit no more. You gotta move it on over, huh?
Move it on over.
You gotta rock it on over.
Rock it on over.
Well, move a big dog, 'cause a mean old dog's moving in. Something like that, George. We're getting close now.
She'll come back to me, begging on her knees. Meanwhile, I'm there scratching fleas. And moving on over.
Moving on over.
Rock it on over.
Rock it on over.
Move over, little dog, 'cause a mean old dog moving in. Moving on over.
Moving on over.
Moving on over.
Gotta move it on over.
Moving on over.
Moving on over.
Rock it on over.
Gotta rock it on over.
Move over, little dog, 'cause a hot dog's moving in.
Oh, Lord have mercy, it's been done.
Did that capture it?
Oh, yeah, come on, that was awesome, George. I just wanted to hear your sound right here in front of you. I want to hear you get up there with that nasty-ass sound.
That was me playing clean.
Well, I didn't have my sound, I'll tell you that, but it worked out all right. Hey, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, George.
You're welcome.
Welcome to another Rock and Roll Road Trip. I'm Sammy Hagar, and I'm sitting here, the guy that's got more identity than anybody on the planet. This is one of them guys you say, well, he's got his own style. No, it's more than that. This guy invented his own style. He is his own style. Whatever all that means, Mr. George Thorogood is on the show with me today, and he's already telling me stuff Anyway, George, thanks for doing the show. That was the most professional I'm going to be.
Oh, okay, good. You're off to a good
Now
start.
that the intro's over.
Am I really all those things you just said?
Yeah, I think so. No, you've got...
I'm liking you more and more.
You're such a stylist. Like, how do you become that? Did you never play other people's songs, or did you just like wake up in the morning and that's the way you sounded and played? Because you're more of a stylist than so many people.
It wasn't out of design. When I first started playing the guitar. I'm uneducated on the guitar. I virtually had no guitar lessons, and my style was very raw, very off the meter. I made a lot of mistakes, but I listened to primarily blues records to learn the instrument. I was learning the blues playing as I was learning the instrument itself. Robert Lockwood once said to me, he said, "You remind me of John Lee Hooker. You play correctly." I said, "I do." He said, "Why?" Because you play wrong.
I'm a big John Lee guy.
Well, see,
so
I was working hard at trying to make it sound like so. So my style was pretty primitive, pretty raw to begin with. And when I do that, people say, "Oh, that kid, he's always trying to make it sound authentic." And our bass player, Bill Blau, would say, No, this is George trying to clean up his act. This is as good as it's
Trying to get good.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get good.
Right.
But so John Lee, people like that, your influence. That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, who'd you grow up listening to?
Well, my first rock and roll hero was the same as everybody else's, same as yours and mine.
Elvis.
But I can't say his name right. It was either Mick Richards or Keith Jagger.
Oh.
Whoever that guy is.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, you opened for the Stones once. Was that intimidating, or was that exciting, or was that like, did you make friends?
No, Sammy, I hated every minute of it.
Really?
No, come on. Were you playing with the Rolling Stones? You kidding me?
That's what I'm saying.
It's
Keith's my hero.
It's my dream, man. You know, that they were so pleasant to me. They said, people would say, you open for the Stones. And when I'd say that, almost to a man, everybody in the Stones said, no, you're not the opening act. You're on the bill. You're on the show. You just happen to be playing first. That's how classy they were. They said, no, there's no opening act.
Wow.
You're on the show with us. And that was, that meant a lot to me. You know, it meant a lot. They were, they couldn't have been nicer. So when you ask what was it like like my birthday and Christmas morning rolled into one. It was like the first day of summer vacation.
Wow, what a trip. The thing that, you know, growing up, you and I, our careers pretty parallel, you know, and we have really never hung around together. I asked all my friends, I mean, country guys, old classic rock guys, anybody. I say, yeah, I'm going to do George Thorogood, you know, and I say, you know anything, you know, what's he like? You guys ever go, man, I've never hung with George, and everybody tells me you're like this recluse or something. You don't hang out. What's up with that?
Well, I don't want to say that. It's just that,
Yeah.
Someone once said about George, they said, well, George is the kind of person, he likes a crowd in front of him, not a crowd around him. So
That's profound as shit.
Yeah.
I'm totally digging that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm proud of you, though. You've really kept a long career. And the craziest thing that's most impressive to me is, you know, record companies my whole life, being a solo artist, like kind of you are, you have a band, but you're a solo artist. But point is that solo artists, they always put pressure on you need a hit, you need a hit, you need a hit, you need a hit. And you've had freaking hits out of songs that if I would have given to my record company, they would have rejected. They'd say, they can't get this on the radio. This is down home, up blues, you know, rockin' crazy, uncommercial music, you know, long songs. How the hell did you craft that, or did that shit just happen by accident?
I came from the era in time when around 67, 68, people started to shy away from saying we just want to hit a top 40 hit, and people made albums all the way. Now, you got to agree with me that you're going to rarely find an album that's fantastic all the way through like Moondance is, all the way through. So record companies are going to say, no, we want to put out a good record as opposed to the top 40 hits. So that's when I came along. That was my time. It was a time of the Allman Brothers and Johnny Winter and Elvin Bishop, and they made really great records, and we'd put them on and listen to the whole thing. And then flip it over.
But you went on past that.
Well, what happened was unexpectedly, it wasn't by design, somehow FM radio, just before it closed out, picked up Bourbon Scotch in here and played it on the radio. Now, I never expected that, Sam, in a million years.
Amen.
Never.
I'll drink to that.
I was like, you're blowing it for me. I'm supposed to be an underground artist here. What are you doing to me?
Hey,
you know,
it's still, you hear your big four all the time.
I was fooling around with this song in sound checks, not in our shows, during that tour, with this song. And I'm walking backstage, and I'm getting ready to go on, and this man comes up to me, and he says, introduces himself, and he says, are you writing any songs? Because I was known for not writing songs. I said, actually, I am. I'm trying to put some stuff together. And he said, well, if they're anything like Bone, you're going to do all right. And I said, how do you mean Bad of the Bone? He says, yeah. And I said, how do you know about that song? Because nobody knew it. And he goes, George, it's my job to know it. By the way, I'm David Geffen.
Oh, shit. Here. Hi, David.
I said, okay.
David signed me to my first big record.
Well, I'm saying, he's saying to me,
wow,
you're on the right track. Yeah, exactly.
This guy was.
I had just met him.
He had instincts,
and
man.
he just was there, and he was so relaxed about it. Said, you know, I really don't have much more to tell you. But it was that song and our performances with the Stones that got those labels interested. The tune helped.
Yeah.
They saw things that I didn't see, which they're supposed to. Yeah. That's what the record executives.
Yeah,
they're supposed to have even more vision than the artists.
You've had really, really amazing musical luck in this business to get away with the type of music you play. Not because I don't like it. I'm saying it's just not what you call pop music.
Here's where the luck factor happens. I look at it both ways, Sam. You can only rely on luck so much because bad luck's waiting for you. You gotta make your own good luck. Good luck.
We're writing a song right now.
Good luck you gotta make happen.
Yeah.
You gotta make, like they say, the pursuit of happiness. You gotta
place
go
at
after
the right
it.
time.
If you just sit back and wait for something lucky to happen to you, people who believe in good and only to be lucky are people who end up not being lucky. Because you can't rely on that. Okay, so
no, you can't.
We sat down and said, no, this is a song somebody's going to like. And I started thinking, look, I'm never going to make anybody forget about Jeff Beck's guitar playing. I'm never going to make anybody forget about Beverly Sills singing. What do you have? What should you do? And I started thinking, do you know how big a hit King of the Road is?
Oh.
Do you know how big a hit Boy Named Sue is? Now, you don't have to be Roger Daltrey to sing those songs, but people remember a hit. They remember the tune more than. I said, do you want to be remembered for having about a half a dozen groovy songs, or do you want to be remembered as a guy who was pretty good at imitating Chuck Berry? See, I'm like, well, so I started going after songs and saying, Bourbon Scotch and Beer is a hit. It's going to be a hit no matter who does it, so I'm going to do it. Moving on over, I was this close to saying, we got to get into the studio and do Moving On Over. Why? I said, because Linda Ronstadt will find it and get the Eagles to back her up, and they'll blow me right out of the water. She'll get a pedal steel, and it'll be terrific.
Hank Williams, a gold mine still.
Exactly. So that's what I was going after for day one, and saying, I want to come up with the groovy tunes.
How in the heck do you keep a band together 45 years? That's a feat in itself. I mean, and it's called George. Oh, I pay good. Really? You need a bass player or anything? Side band on it? That's a good. I believe you must.
Well, aside from it probably has something to do with it's exciting, but probably the top thing is we keep everyone there because of my charming, glowing personality.
Is that right?
I used to say this. People have said that in the past, it said, about the payroll of what we do with people, and I've had accountants who have said, well, you're paying this person a little too much, and my theory on that was there is no price on loyalty. You can't put a price on it.
Yeah. So
that's my reward, saying, for doing that. Just give them a little extra. Just give them a little, extra there.
You're a good man.
That'll keep them on the team.
You're a good man. I think it's so important that if you find good guys in any industry, in any business,
you can't live on compliments.
No. Well, Ike Turner used to do it with cocaine. I heard him say, okay, here's your 8-ball. That don't work. So here we are in Memphis at the Graceland. Elvis, the king. Maybe in my opinion, maybe the biggest star ever on the planet.
Arguably, yeah.
And
nobody ever says Elvis who.
Yeah. Willie's getting that way too, It's like, Willie Nelson? What did Elvis mean to you growing up, or what is Elvis freaking Presley?
When Elvis Presley hit, you got to understand, I was young, very young.
I was like 7 or 8.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When Elvis hit, they were talking about rock and roll. Because I was so young, I did not know rock and roll was a new thing. I thought it had been around forever.
Yeah, and that was you just seeing it.
I was just hearing everybody else was like this new thing. I go, well, what's so new about it? It's just I wasn't until years later they said no. Right when you started growing up in the 50s, mid or early 50s, that's when rock and roll hit. It hit when you hit. Yeah. So you would just think it's a natural thing, So I never knew that. When Elvis Presley came along, we could feel the vibrations of Elvis Presley right in northern Delaware on Clearview Avenue where I live. I mean, you could. The guy was literally shaking the planet.
He shook my house. He was powerful.
Well, you understand.
He was so powerful.
You understand when Elvis Presley started, when people like him or Chuck Berry or the people who created rock and roll, remember, they were the first, so they had no idols to look at, to say, I want to do what Mick Jagger does.
Yeah.
I want to do what Jimi Hendrix does. They were the first. So Elvis didn't have any, he was up there on a tightrope without a net.
He had a hammer and a chisel, man.
He was making, they were looking at him and said, well, who are your influences? How are your influences when you're only 19? He's just, you know what I mean? He was just doing it. They all were like that.
Yeah,
now,
killer.
When the Beatles came along, they had idols. They idolized Little Richard and Elvis and Chuck Berry. And they formulated something, and they actually had incredible confidence to sit there and say, we're going to be bigger than Elvis Presley. And that's a heck of a thing to say. It's another thing to believe it, and then another thing to do it.
Do it.